Long ago, in the golden halls of Asgard, where the gods feasted and the stars themselves seemed to shimmer with laughter, there lived the mighty Thor, god of thunder. Strong as a mountain and just as unshaken, Thor was the protector of both gods and men, his very presence a shield against the giants who lurked in the shadows of the 9 realms. Yet, for all his strength, Thor lacked a weapon worthy of his power, a weapon that could shake the heavens and split the earth asunder. But this is not just Thor's tale. It begins, as many great stories do, with mischief. And where there is mischief, there is Loki. Loki, the silver-tongued trickster, was as clever as he was unpredictable. He could weave lies so sweet they tasted like honey, and his schemes were as tangled as the roots of Yggdrasil itself. One day, in his endless thirst for amusement, Loki played a prank that went too far. He cut off the golden hair of Sif, Thor's beloved wife. When Thor discovered this, his rage was a storm without end. His fists clenched like thunderheads, and his voice shook the very walls of Asgard. Loki, realizing that even his silver tongue might not save him this time, swore to make amends. He promised to travel to the realm of the dwarves, the finest craftsmen in all the cosmos, and return with new hair for Sif, hair more radiant than before. But Loki, ever the schemer, knew that simply replacing what he had stolen would not be enough to escape Thor's wrath entirely. No, he needed a grander offering, something so magnificent that even the thunder god would forgive him. And so, as he slipped between realms toward the forges of the dwarves, a wicked idea took root in his mind. For deep in the mountains of Svartalfheim, where the fires of creation burned eternal, the sons of Ivaldi, the greatest of dwarf smiths, worked their magic. And if Loki played his tricks just right, he might return not only with Sif's new hair, but with treasures beyond imagining. Little did he know his mischief would set in motion the forging of the mightiest weapon the 9 realms had ever seen, a hammer that would become legend. Loki, swift as shadow, slipped into the caverns of Svartalfheim, where the air was thick with the scent of molten metal and the ringing of hammers echoed like distant thunder. The dwarves were a secretive folk, small in stature but mighty in craft, and none were greater than the sons of Ivaldi. With a grin that hid his deceit, Loki approached them. "Great smiths," he said, his voice smooth as polished stone, "I come with a challenge worthy of your skill." The dwarves, prideful as they were, could not resist such words. They listened as Loki spun his tale of Sif's shorn hair, of Thor's wrath, and of the need for gifts so splendid that even the gods would marvel. The sons of Ivaldi, eager to prove their mastery, set to work. Their forges blazed hotter than the heart of a star as they hammered and shaped, their hands moving with divine precision. First, they crafted new hair for Sif, strands of living gold, finer than silk and brighter than sunlight, which would grow naturally as if it were her own. But they did not stop there. From the depths of their genius came 2 more treasures. Skidbladnir, a ship that could fold like cloth yet always found the wind, and Gungnir, a spear so true it never missed its mark. Loki, delighted, gathered the gifts and thanked the dwarves. But his trickster's heart was not yet satisfied. As he left the sons of Ivaldi, another thought struck him. What if he could secure even greater prizes? And so, with mischief in his steps, he sought out another pair of dwarven brothers, Braka and Sindri, whose skills were whispered to rival even the sons of Ivaldi. "Brokkr! Sindri!" Loki called, his voice dripping with false admiration. "I have just come from your rivals, who boast that no smiths in all the 9 realms can match their craft." The brothers' eyes darkened. "Is that so?" Brokkr growled, his thick fingers tightening around his hammer. "Oh yes," Loki sighed. "They claim their gifts for the gods will make all others seem like the work of children." Sindri, the quieter of the two, studied Loki with sharp eyes. "And what do you want, trickster?" Loki spread his hands innocently. "Only to see if you can prove them wrong. Make something greater, and I will stake my own head that none can surpass you." Brokkr and Sindri exchanged a glance. The challenge was set. The fires of their forge roared to life, and Loki, watching from the shadows, smiled. For deep in the heart of the mountain, beneath the weight of the world, something unimaginable was about to be born. Brokkr and Sindri were no fools. They knew Loki's tongue was as slippery as a serpent's tail. Yet pride burned hotter than their forge, and they would not let their rivals' boasts go unanswered. "Very well, Loki," Brokkr rumbled, wiping soot from his brow. "We accept your challenge, but know this, if we craft gifts greater than the sons of Ivaldi, your head is forfeit." Loki's grin faltered for but a moment before he waved a dismissive hand. Of course. But let us see if your skill matches your confidence." The brothers wasted no time. Sindri, the master smith, laid out the finest materials, gold from the veins of the earth, iron from fallen stars, and the breath of a dying giant whispered into the metal to give it life. "Work the bellows, brother," Sindri commanded. "Do not let the fire fade for even a heartbeat, or all will be ruined." Brokkr nodded and took his place, his mighty arms pumping the great bellows as flames roared white-hot. Sindri placed the first ingot into the fire and began his work. As the metal glowed, Sindri shaped it with tools older than time itself. From the forge emerged a creature of living gold, a boar with bristles that shone like the sun, hooves that could race across sky and sea, and eyes that burned with divine light. They named it Gullinbursti, the golden bristled, a steed fit for Freyr, god of harvests, whose radiance would make crops flourish across the realms. Loki watched, fingers twitching. The boar was magnificent. Next, Sindri took a band of gold and cast it into the flames. Brokkr's arms never slowed, his sweat sizzling as it struck the coals. When the metal was pulled forth, it had become a ring. Draupnir, the dripper. Every 9th night, 8 new rings of equal weight and beauty would drop from its golden embrace. A treasure without end. A gift worthy of Odin himself. Loki's smile had vanished entirely. Now came the greatest work. Sindri drew forth a lump of dark iron, humming an ancient song as he placed it into the forge. "This one must be perfect," he murmured. "Not a single flaw." Loki's eyes darted to Brokkr, still laboring at the bellows. A wicked thought took hold. If the fire faltered, even for a moment, the weapon would be imperfect, and the wager would be his. Silent as a shadow, Loki shifted. In the form of a monstrous fly, he landed on Brokkr's hand and stung him with all his might. The dwarf grunted, but did not relent. The fly then bit his neck, drawing blood. Still, Brokkr pumped. Desperate, Loki struck his eyelid, and this time, Brokkr flinched. Sindri's shout echoed through the cavern as he pulled the weapon from the flames. The iron had cooled too soon. The handle was shorter than intended, the balance imperfect. Yet the hammer's head was colossal, etched with runes of devastation. They named it Mjölnir, the Crusher. When Loki returned to Asgard with his treasures, the gods gathered in awe. Sif's golden hair was restored, Freya rejoiced over Gullinbursti, and Odin marveled at Draupnir's endless wealth. Then came Brokkr and Sindri, bearing Mjölnir. Thor's fingers closed around the hammer's short handle, and the skies themselves trembled. Though flawed, its power was undeniable. Mountains would shatter beneath its blow, and no enemy could withstand its might. The gods declared the dwarves the victors. Brokkr turned to Loki with a grim smile. "Now, trickster, your head is mine." Loki paled but did not flee. "Ah, but the terms were my head, not my neck. You may take my head, but you may not harm my neck in the doing." The dwarves snarled, cheated once more by his word play. In fury, Brokkr sewed Loki's lips shut with a leather thong, silencing the trickster for a time. And so the mighty Mjölnir found its home in the hands of Thor, its weight a comfort to the thunder god, its power a terror to his enemies. Though its handle was short, Thor's strength made it an extension of his own will. When he swung it, storms followed, and when he threw it, the very earth trembled. Giants learned to fear its whistle through the air, for it always returned to its master's grip, unerring as the tide. But Loki, ever the weaver of chaos, did not remain silenced for long. The stitches in his lips loosened with time, and his silver tongue soon wagged anew with fresh mischief. Yet even he could not deny that this time his trickery had birthed something greater than he intended. For though he had sought only to save his own skin, his meddling had given Asgard its greatest protector, a weapon that would stand between the gods and the coming darkness. Mjölnir was more than a hammer. It was a promise, a vow that so long as Thor stood, the realms would not fall. And though Loki's schemes would continue to unravel the threads of fate, this one deed, however unwilling, had forged a legend that would echo through the ages. And so ends the tale of how Thor gained his hammer. But the sagas of its battles, of giants slain, of wars waged, and of the doom that would one day come, are stories for another time. Until next time, this is Uncle Ben signing off. Take care, and may the gods watch over you.